So it's been a little while since I did a collection video, so I thought I would show off my Vestron Video Collectors series. There is 31 films currently in the Vestron collection, and I'm here to show it off to anyone who doesn't already own these or know what titles are in the Vestron collection. So I have all 31 of them, and they are numbered, which I'm a big fan of, like the numbering on the sides. It's very aesthetically pleasing when you see them all in sequential order and they're numbered and you have every one of them. I love it. So let's start first with this Chopping Mall. So this is a movie that when you saw the poster for this, you thought this was going to be a slasher movie, and while technically it kind of is a slasher, you definitely did not expect it to be killer robots, because this movie is also called Killbots. That is its alternate title, and it's a really silly film, but it doesn't matter if I like any movie in here. I really wanted to have the collection, and there are good movies in this set, and I have not seen every film in here, for sure. I just haven't gotten to them yet. But the good thing about Vestron, especially later on, like around film 20, I don't remember where it happened. I'm looking right now. Actually, earlier than that, probably around 18, as I think. So from 18 to 31. The price dropped significantly. These were like 30 bucks a piece, and then they all started to drop after that, to some of them all the way down to like $7.99. And I mean when they were brand new, like when a few of these came out, they were like $7-8 bucks, and I was like, whoa! And that's when I started collecting them. I already had a few, like, you know, my next one, which is Blood Diner, which this is probably the first one I bought because it's Blood Diner. It's one of my favorite horror comedies of all time. It's probably in the top 5 horror comedies. I adore this film. I think it is absolutely insane, and I always wanted to have it on Blu-ray because all I ever had was a VHS, and I don't even think this got a DVD. It might have, but I don't think I ever got it. I don't think they put this. This is like one of those, like the Mutilator or Blood Rage or whatever, that never got a DVD. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think America got a Blood Diner DVD. But I might be wrong on that. I might even own it, but I swear this is one of the films that didn't. Regardless, I love this film. Jackie Kong, I really wish that she would have made more movies, because this is my kind of humor. It's as over the top as humanly possible, but in the best ways. The brothers in this are so funny. There's so many memorable scenes. I adore this movie so much. This is obviously number 2. They have these really cool slipcovers, and the great thing about these so far, after 31 of them, is that they're totally uniform and they all match. They all look exactly the same. They don't change it up at all in that department. So they all like match one another and go together. As I said, very aesthetically pleasing, and I love it. So unfortunately, I do not have the slipcover for 2 of these 31 entries, and I look for them on eBay, but the cheapest I've ever found it is more expensive than buying the movie again with a slipcover, which is like, the 2 I have are expensive, unfortunately. These are the ones that I couldn't get slipcovers to when I bought them, and then the slipcovers for them are like at 30 bucks or something. So, but when I bought them, I was hoping they'd come with slipcovers, but I couldn't get confirmation. In fact, I even wrote the people, and they were like, I can't confirm, because they were like a bigger company, I guess, on eBay, and they were like, I can't confirm, you just have to order it. And I just rolled the dice, and both some of them I got the slipcovers, and 2 of them I didn't. Alright, next up we've got the Waxwork films. You get 2 films here in this one, and even though there's 31 entries here, there's actually more than 31 films. because there's quite a few of these collections, which I love. And I hope they can do this with a few other titles that I know Vestron has in their filmography, in their vault. There's one in particular that I'm completely blanking on right now, but I know Vestron holds the rights to it. At least that's what it, you know, whenever I play the movie, it has the Vestron, but I only have like a VHS of it. I wish I could remember what it is right now, but it's a movie I would love to see Vestron cover, and I just can't remember. But Waxwork 1 and 2, this is an Anthony Hitchcock's film, and Zach Galligan, however you say that guy's name. These are fun. I just remember as a kid, there's like a cameo from Drew Barrymore in part 2, which Drew Barrymore was my obsession when I was a kid. So like I had to see that movie, and I think I saw Waxwork 2 before 1, because I had to see Drew Barrymore in everything at that age. But they're fun. I definitely prefer the first one for sure. But speaking of sequels that I do prefer, the next two are those. So first we have Return of the Living Dead 3, which this is a Brian Yuzna film. Big fan of Brian Yuzna. He has some great body horror in his filmography, most notably Society. But I prefer this film. This is actually probably my favorite Yuzna film. But I love this film. I adore this film. It's probably my favorite. The first three Return of the Living Deads are so good for me. I know a lot of people don't like the second one. I love it. I grew up on it. It's very childish, and because I was a kid when it came out and I watched it, it appealed to me, and now I have nostalgia. So maybe if I watched it as an adult, I'd be like, why is this so playful and silly? But because I grew up as a kid, I don't know. I love it. But this one is much more adult, and the girl in this is sexy as hell, even with her, you know, scarification and you know, the shit she does to her body. You wouldn't think it looking at the cover, but this girl is definitely a horror icon for people into more obscure titles. I wouldn't call this super obscure. This is like that next tier down. There's the, like, you know, casual fans. Then there's like the horror fans, and then there's like the hardcore horror fans, right? And those are like the different tiers. And this would fall somewhere in the middle with like horror fans. All horror fans would know what this is, but casual fans, they probably know what Return of the Living Dead is, but I would pretty much guarantee they haven't seen part 3 or even know what it is. They would be like, I didn't even know it had a sequel. But I love that film. It's definitely, arguably, my favorite of the original 3. I do not care for Necropolis or Rave to the Grave, which are these kind of direct-to DVD sequels they made years later that don't have the charm of the first 3 for me. The first 3 are great. Here's a film that I never thought would get a Blu-ray, and I know a lot of people hate it. I love it. Another great horror comedy. It's nothing like the first film. It shouldn't have this title, is probably the issue that a lot of people have, but it's not like the first one's all that beloved. But this is Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Massive fan of this film. I know that there's not a lot of people out there who love it, but holy shit do I. I think it is so funny, and I adore the theme song, Bud the Chud. It's so good, and I love it. I love this case. I love this slipcover. I love the poster artwork. You know, this is number 5. I'm doing them in order, so that, you know, Return of the Living Dead 3 was 4, and so on. All right, next up, number 6, The Lair of the White Worm. Hugh Grant is in this movie. I did see this once. It's a very weird, bizarre film. I don't exactly know what my thoughts were on it at that time. I did, but now I don't remember what I thought of this film. I just remember it being very bizarre. So at some point I do want to cover all of the films in this collection. and I look forward to doing that. But I love the artwork for these. I love the slipcovers. I think these are so clean. I think they're so aesthetically pleasing. I really love this collection. I really love what Vestron does. I think their cleanups are great. I think they have some decent special features. They're not like packed like Scream Factory and Arrow do, but they have enough that it's cool. Another really bizarre film here that not a lot of people talk about, which is like a really weird, dark kind of comedy, but is a cool movie I haven't seen in a long time, and I've not watched this transfer yet, but I used to watch this on VHS. I don't remember it that well, but I do remember enjoying it quite a bit, and I do want to rewatch it. Parents with Randy Quaid. This is number 7, and I haven't seen this much, but as I said, you've got audio commentary on pretty much most of these, an isolated score, which is interesting, an audio interview with the composer. You got featurettes, which they have a bunch of them on here. So that's like, you know, as I said, not super packed, not a making of documentary, new interviews and all that stuff, but you got some stuff. So I think it's cool, and man, these slipcovers are so nice, and this is number 7. So anybody seen this one? All right, next up, this is unfortunate because this should have had the other ones in it. Same with like Blood the Chud, right? I wish Blood the Chud came with Chud 1, and I wish that Return of the Living Dead came with all 5 films. I'm a completist, so give it all to me. But there's a lot of sequels in here that don't have the whole collection, and then there's some that do have the whole collection. This one is not one of them. I would have loved for this to have both 1 and 2, but this is The Gate. Which, yeah, it's really cool. Little creature feature that was kind of for families at the time in which it came out. And I think this is like a really cool like gateway horror, film for kids. But this is a young Brad Dourif, if memory serves. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but this did get a sequel. I have both of them on VHS, but I would have loved for this one to have The Gate 1 and 2. But speaking of full collections here, next up, number 9, is the Wishmaster set. The Wishmaster collection with all 4 Wishmaster films. Every one of these has audio commentaries and some featurettes and such. That seems to be basically the majority of what you get is audio commentaries and featurettes. But all 4 films here. And this thing was not even that expensive when it came out. It was only like 20 something bucks, 25, 30 bucks. So for all 4 films, that's a damn good set. And the fact that they didn't make it any bigger is a up and downside, right? Like, I'm sure the discs inside are like, you know, I don't even know how many discs are in here. This is one I haven't opened because I reviewed these on the channel before I got this set, because I have all of them on DVD. I think I even have all of them on VHS. But I just haven't had any reason to watch the Wishmaster movies. I think the first Wishmaster is really damn good. I think the special effects, because it was made by, you know, a special effects guy, I think they're fantastic. And the second one's pretty okay. It's pretty good. And then 3 and 4 are not good. They're, for me, I did not care for them, but I did review all of those on the channel. All right, next up, we've got the first film that I have not seen in this collection, which is The Unholy. So I don't really have much to say about this one. The artwork on the front it's okay. This is number 10. But I should watch this at some point, but I'll go in blind. I can only assume this is like an exorcism movie because you have priests on the front and someone who's unholy. Next up, another pack here of multiple movies, a full complete franchise collection. This one's very cool. I'm so happy they did this one. This is the Warlock set here with all 3 Warlocks. Up until This, all I had was VHS. I had all 3 of these on VHS, but they just released all 3 of these. You know, this is probably only a few years old at this point. So good on Vestron for pulling this out of the vault and putting this on a nice clean Blu-ray set. I did watch these since. These look really good. This one has Warlock 2 and 3 get a disc, and then Warlock 1 gets 1 disc. So they do put more than one movie on a disc, which is, I'm assuming, what's going on with the Wishmaster set. I'm assuming 1 and 2 are on 1 disc, and 3 and 4 are on another disc. I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume for now that's what it is. Until I open it, I can't confirm. But I really like the Warlock, especially the first one. RIP to Julian Sands, who died not that long ago. The first movie was directed by Steve Miner from Friday the 13th, Part 2 and 3. So that's pretty cool. And you get some crossover there. But Warlock, yeah. The first one's good. And then the second one I remember being good, and then like okay, and then the third one I remember being not very good. But I'd have to look at my reviews. I did review all 3 of them. All right, next up we have the first one without a slipcover. Oh God, if anybody knows where to get a slipcover for this one and the other one, please let me know. This also has Julian Sands in it, as well as Natasha Richardson. Timothy Spall's in this. Freaking good old Peter Pettigrew. I've never seen this one. This is another one I have yet to watch, but I should get to it at some point. Set in 1816, so it's a period piece. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about this one. I need that slipcover. So someone, please, I need it. I need these. All right, next up, we got Slaughter High. This is a slasher film. I want to say someone I know loves this movie. Is it Destiny? I think it might be. But whoever it is, I know one of my friends really loves this film. I like it. It's a good one. It's a fun little slasher. It's really low budget and silly, but I do enjoy it. Kind of reminds me a bit of Terror Train in its opening, with like the prank gone wrong kind of thing. But I love this cover. I've always been a big fan of that artwork with the skull and the graduation cap and the cherry bomb. Very cool. So that's number 12. Number 13, this is another one that should have had the whole set. Such a bummer. I wish this could have had all 3 films, but this is part 2 of a trilogy. Most people wouldn't know that. But this is Class of 99. This is, or 1999. I reviewed all 3 of these. So there's Class of 1984, Class of 1999, and the third one, hilariously, is called Class of 1999 Part 2. So, but they're all set at the same high school. So they are connected. Really weird that you have a franchise where Part 3 is called Part 2. Not a common thing you're going to run into. But I do like these movies. They change drastically from 1 to 2. 1 is like this kind of like thriller in a high school with these punk renegade kids against the teacher kind of thing. And then the second one and third one go full sci-fi, full science fiction, where the like teachers are robots kind of shit. So totally different, but yeah. Anyway. All right, next up, another one that is part 3 of a series. This would have been great if we got all 3 of them, but I think Vestron only has the rights to the ones that they're putting out. That's my guess, obviously. I thought they had Chud, though. I thought Chud 1 was theirs. But I remember the Chud got like a really good Arrow release, I think is what it was. So, I don't know. But this is beyond Reanimator. This is also a Brian Yuzna film. He does Bride and this one. This is definitely the lesser of the three for sure. I still like it, but it's nowhere. It can't hold a candle to the first two. It's not even close. But it's still somewhat enjoyable. I did review all three of these, but it would have been great had all three been included. So that is number 15. We're halfway through. All right, next up, another H.P. Lovecraft film here. This is Deon. And this is a Stuart Gordon film. And they definitely purposefully put a guy on the cover and hired an actor that looks like Jeffrey Combs because it's H.P. Lovecraft, because it's Stuart Gordon, because of Reanimator and From Beyond. They were 100% trying to convince us that that was Jeffrey Combs. And I actually, for a short time, thought that it was Jeffrey Combs because I had never seen the film. And was like, oh yeah, Stuart Gordon and Jeffrey Combs made another H.P. Lovecraft film together. No, they did not. So there you go, Deon. Which the girl in that is in 30 Coins. And every time we watch that, I can never think of it. Her name's Mercy in that. And yeah, I'm always like, that's the girl from Deon every time I watch it. All right, my last one that I don't have a box for, and I've looked, and this is the one that's like $40 when I find it on eBay, and it's so annoying, and it's just for the slipcover. It's like finding it with a slipcover and the movie is cheaper than that. So the fact that people sell slipcovers for more than the film, like buying the film with the slipcover, makes no sense. Anyways, this is Stephen King's directorial debut and only film he ever directed, Maximum Overdrive. This is a famously bad film, but it has Emilio Estevez. Yeardley Smith is a character in this, and I have a great time. Pat Hingle's in this as well. I always have a good time with this movie. It's really fucking silly. The entire soundtrack is done by AC/DC. Stephen King was definitely doing a lot of cocaine when he wrote that and directed it, but it's a stupid movie, but I do enjoy it. All right, next up we got David Cronenberg's Shivers. This was the first one I remember going down to like $7.99 when it was released. We were gonna review all the David Cronenberg movies. We were watching them in order. We watched, you know, this, and we watched freaking The Fly, and everything up until Existence, however you say that. It's like supposed to be existence, but it's like Existence. And then we were going to review them. We were going to do like a whole video covering all of his films in like one video. And then we stopped watching them for whatever reason. But we watched like Naked Lunch and, you know, Rabbit and all that shit. So I don't know why, The Brood and everything. So bummer we didn't stick with it. All right, next up is a family film with good old Fred Savage and Howie Mandel. And if you were a kid, when I was a kid, you definitely will remember Little Monsters. Yep, this is like very Beetlejuice-esque. That's what they were going for, but without the same style that Tim Burton brings. But that whole underworld with your like weird friend, it kind of felt like very, and this and like Monkey Bone and stuff like that. It's an interesting film. I haven't watched it in a long time. I tried to watch it with my kids, and they were not having it. They were not into it at all. All right, next up, we've got Emilio Estevez's brother here, and Randy Quaid once again, along with Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks and Just One of the Guys. We have The Wraith. I did see this movie. I didn't like it all that much. It's a pretty silly film. It's like a car that is driving around town and killing people, and he gets out and he has like a full, like, you know, leather costume with like a helmet on in the car and all that shit. Nick Cassavetes is in this as well. Yeah, so it's got music from Billy Idol, Robert Palmer, Ozzy Osbourne, Motley Crue. It had like a real 80s soundtrack. It's okay. It's okay. It's been a long time since I've watched it, though. All right, next up, this is a really underappreciated vampire film that's a good horror comedy that I haven't seen in a while, but it has David Carradine and Bruce Campbell in it. And this is Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. I only watched this once, but when I did, I really enjoyed the hell out of it. And it's also another Anthony Hitchcock's film. But I did really enjoy this. I thought it was very funny and silly, but like in a really charming and fun way. So anyone who likes Bruce Campbell and that kind of silly horror, this is a good one. This is number 21. All right, we got 10 left. All right, next up we've got Francis Ford Coppola's, I think this might be his directorial debut. His first horror movie, I think, Dementia 13. It's been a long time since I watched this. They remade this too, and it was fucking awful. The remake is horrendous. This is like kind of a classic because it was directed by Coppola. Now, this is the director's cut, so the first film, yeah. So, I don't know if I've ever seen the director's cut. This is a black and white film. The pictures on the back are colorized, but I doubt that this has been colorized. That would be interesting if they had an option for colorization. How do you guys feel about colorization? I know it was like a very taboo thing to do back in the day when they did it with like Night of the Living Dead and whatnot, but it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, next up, a movie I have not seen. This is kind of weirdly, I don't know. This and one other feel kind of out of place in here. This is Steel Dawn with Patrick Swayze. This feels like something that I would definitely be into. It looks like Mad Max from what I can tell, which I'm all about. So I got to get on this at some point. But what do you guys think of Steel Dawn? Is this like a Mad Max ripoff? I don't know. I have never seen it. But that's the way it appears. All right, another one that would have been really cool had they had the other movies in here. The like remake or requel or whatever the hell you want to call the new one wasn't out when this was released, so we wouldn't have got that. But at least the other two would have been great. And this is Candyman, Day of the Dead. This one was like $6.99 or something when it came out. So this movie's horrible. This movie's awful. Just a dreadful film. But it always annoys me because like I keep these all together, and then my Candyman collection and my Return of the Living Dead collection and stuff that are up here are incomplete because these are missing from them, but I can't have them missing from my Vestron collection. All right, next up, this is weird that I've never seen this movie because it's a Corey Feldman and Corey Haim film. Wild, I've never seen this, but this is Dream a Little Dream. I do remember when this came out. I was like 7 because it came out in '89. It has Harry Dean Stanton, has Victoria Jackson, so it's got some familiar faces in it. But I never saw this one. This is probably the one that feels like it's the most out of place. This does not have any horror elements or any like thriller elements or anything from what I can tell. I don't know what this is about, but from the title and the pictures on the back and everything, high school hijinks ensue and an oddball older, no, this is 100% like a teen comedy. Why this is in the Vestron collection, I guess it's a Vestron film, so it's like, and I guess probably because the Coreys were in Lost Boys, and that's like a horror classic. Maybe that's how they justified it. I don't know. Another one I've never seen, Extreme Prejudice with Nick Nolte. This looks like a Western. So I guess, once again, this is directed by Walter Hill. So Powers Booth is in this. Oh, shit, yeah. I love Powers Booth. That makes it way more interesting to me. This totally seems like my kind of movie. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling it's just a bunch of men shooting up people. I'm in. I'm in. This is a guy movie. I can tell. Killing the bad guys with Extreme Prejudice. Hell yeah, bring it on. Okay, next up, we have a movie Kaylee and I just watched together. It was not the first time I had seen it, but it had been so long, it was basically should have been because I didn't remember anything, and I had a blast with it. I didn't realize it was a musical. That was actually a huge surprise to me, and it has an incredible cast, which is Gina Davis, Jim Carrey, Damon Wayans, Jeff Goldblum. You know the movie. Earth Girls Are Easy. Yeah. This is a super fun film. I was really surprised that it was a musical. I did not remember that at all. So when we watched this, I was kind of taken aback. It also has Julie Brown in it, who's really adorable in this, as is Gina Davis. I had such a good time. I had such a good time with it. So very, very fun. This next set is really cool. I'm so glad that they made this. It would have been great had they had all 6 films, but I'm assuming they only have the rights to 3, 4, and 5. But we have Silent Night, Deadly Night, parts 3 through 5, which they used to sell in a DVD set, which I did have, but I got rid of once I got this. I am a big fan of part 4 and 5. I actually think they're fun films. The third one is kind of unwatchable garbage. It has Bill Moseley in it, but it's fucking the slowest, most boring shit you've ever watched. And then Mickey Rooney is in the 5th one, which is hilarious because he was like one of the people, like one of the celebrities that was like leading the charge against the first one, saying like it shouldn't exist and it's fucked up and how could you make Santa Claus like evil. But then he stars in part 5, which I have to assume he didn't know it was going to be a part 5, or he just completely threw away all of his integrity and was just like, I need the paycheck, I don't care. Next up, we have another set here, which this is so cool. I love the artwork on this one. I am a big fan of both of these movies. This is another Yuzna film. Both of them are. And this is the Dentist collection with both 1 and 2. I'm so glad this got released in a set like this, and I think the artwork is pretty badass. So this is a badass set, and I love it. I was so happy when they announced this because I do really like the first 2, or the only 2. I like these both, and I have them on VHS, but I was always waiting for like a good set. And then this got released for like 10 or 11 bucks. Like they put this out for nothing. It was maybe $17.99, but such a deal for these. Both have commentary, both have, you know, this isolated scores and the interviews and a lot of good features. You know, they don't disappoint. All right, next up is another one I have not seen. This is My Best Friend is a Vampire. This kind of reminds me, it looks like they're kind of going for Fright Night or My Boyfriend's Back, which I think this predates My Boyfriend's Back. Yeah, it does. So maybe My Boyfriend's Back. But I don't know. This is a vampire movie, so maybe that's not what they were going for, and I'm just projecting because of a fucking poster or something. This is rated PG, and it's 88, so PG-13 was an option by 88. So that's interesting that it's such a, like, a PG rating. I don't know anything about this, but I have a feeling it's a really fun, like, teen comedy vampire film. So that's something I absolutely should get to. And lastly, another one I haven't seen. We have a thriller here starring Jamie Lee Curtis, directed by Catherine Bigelow, the director of freaking Near Dark, as well as Zero Dark 30. She has a lot of dark in her titles. She was married, of course, to James Cameron. And this is Blue Steel, which she's a cop in this. This is from 1990, so it's technically a 90s thriller. So Kaylee and I should watch this and we should watch this and review it. But yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. And I look forward to watching it. So I probably only said, like, we had 31 entries here with probably somewhere around 40 films altogether. And I probably saw 32 of them. So it's not like I haven't watched. Let's see how many I haven't watched. What did we come to? I have not watched The Unholy, Gothic, 1, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of probably like 40. So not bad, but I should watch those 7 films. Anyway, what's your favorite film? Do you, of these, do you own any of these? Do you own all of them? Do you know where I can get the slipcover for Gothic and Maximum Overdrive, which is number 13 and number 17, if you can point me in the direction of a slipcover for either of these for a decent price, like $10, I would pay $10 for each one of them. for sure, no questions asked. But $30 is ridiculously overpriced in my opinion, but man, do I want them. I've looked for them countless times. Anyways, that's that, guys. The Vestron collection. I definitely want to know what you guys think of this collection, and which ones you own yourself, and what you think they'll do next. I'm going to look up the title, the Vestron movie that I'm like, this is owned by Vestron, and it doesn't have a Blu-ray. It doesn't even have a DVD, I don't think. And I'll let you know what it is in the comments. But I'll see you there. All right, guys. Bye.